Steve, welcome back to Friday at 4.
Chuck, man, I'm excited to be here. I love it. It's great.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get started and follow back up from last week from where we left off.
Sure.
Take a
So
couple
real
minutes to
quick,
share this.
by way of intros, can you give us a quick of who you are?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah. So Charles Luttrell from Q.A.C team. Absolutely. Love to podcast, love to do reviews for businesses. And I'm happy to be here with Steve, creating the Friday at 4, where it's an open forum. We talk about whatever and bring guests on.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Glad
I
again
love
to
it.
be here. And I am Steve Kent, owner of my own company, Steve Kent Financial Services, where we help people achieve financial freedom so that they can dream again. That's
Love
what
it.
we do.
Love it.
So, if I remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong here,
You
we
know, I
were
will.
gonna. Thanks, I appreciate that. No worries there. Here we go. Okay. Um, I thought we were gonna kick around um about like entrepreneur versus working for someone and giving people some, and there was a whole list, but some of the pros and cons of working for somebody or working for yourself. And
Yeah.
the reason I think I can talk about this is I spent over 30 years in corporate IT. So I kind of got to feel pretty good for some of the pluses and some of the minuses. So the pluses of working for somebody else, and certainly the larger the company, you should be able to get a paycheck for as long as you're there.
One would hope, right?
And I'm saying that on purpose because I'm going to give you one of the cons. Okay,
Right.
so you should be able to get a paycheck as long as you're there. But when you also work for a large company and even a small one, you're almost begging for a salary increase, a promotion, a bonus,
Yeah.
the vacation time you worked and you deserve. So there's a lot of good for working for a large company. But again, there's those downsides. Also, I said purposely, you get a paycheck for as long as you're there, as long as they want you there.
Yeah. And to add on to that too, briefly, is I worked the last 4 years of my corporate career without a raise, period.
There you
And
go.
that's what drove me out.
There you
Everything
go.
goes up, but if you're making the same amount, which means you're making less every year. So
Right.
out.
So to that point, between 2000 and 2003, which is not all that long ago, I'm not going to tell you the name of the company because I don't want to get into that stuff. But I worked for a company, really, it was a really good company. But that's when the market started to go. So for
Uh,
3 years, there was no raise, no bonus, no promotion, and they fired the training department.
oh,
So you could not go anywhere but leaving the company.
yeah.
But if the economy, pardon my French, the economy sucks, how do
Yeah.
you leave the company? So you're really, really caught. It's the chicken and the egg. What do you do?
Holding on for dear life, right? You're hoping things
Right,
get better because the economy's
right.
down. So you want to keep what you have, just praying that it gets better.
It is. And
Uh,
they'll pay you just enough to pay your bills and to keep you there.
yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And again, I was up in management for many, many years. And the unwritten rule says get the most you can from your team for the least amount of money
Yeah.
instead of paying people what they're worth.
Worth.
So, part of the challenge that I have, and I might have talked about this last week with working for a company, their loyalty is not to the employee, their loyalty is to the shareholder and to the
Big difference.
executives for their bonuses.
Yeah. Big
So,
difference.
oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
So, what you're seeing more and more, but it's been hitting the last bunch of years, is companies are laying people off so that they can make their numbers and give to the shareholder.
Yeah.
But what does that do to the average person who now can't pay the mortgage, the rent, the utilities, the food? What do you do? You max out your credit cards. What do you do?
Yeah.
And I know personally, if I was working for a company and they let me go, I would not be buying their product or service. Just on principle. You let me go. Why?
100%. Who would?
Not only wouldn't I, but I don't have the money to. So
Yeah.
it's a double-edged sword. So that's kind of where that stuff goes. Now again, what my father told me way back when I even before I started working, he said you can go into any company, doesn't matter which one, and you can get really good at doing a function, a
Yeah.
task. And that's great. And you can be the best in the world at that function. But what happens if technology changes? What happens if they merge that function into another one? What happens if they eliminate the function and that's
They
all
relegate
you
that
know how to
position.
do?
Right. They relegate that position no longer needed. Right.
Then they
Yeah.
say, you see that thing over there? That thing called a door? Don't let it hit you on the way out.
Right.
But my father, who never went to college, but was very well read and was pretty smart, he said to me, and I still remember this, and we're talking 40 plus years ago. He said, the more you can do in a company, the better chance you have of surviving technology, layoffs, mergers, anything. If you
Yeah.
can do one thing, that's your thing. But if you can do three, four, five, and one or two go away, you still have value to the company.
Yeah.
And I still remember that from way back when.
Yeah.
And I also remember one of my first managers who also from that time frame, nobody cares about your future more than you do.
That's true.
So you could have the best manager in the world and they can promise you everything in the world. But what happens if the situation around them changes and they can't give you what they promised?
Yeah.
Or what happens if they're not there anymore? Because chances are what they promised you is verbal. Nothing's in writing, so you can go back and say, hey, look. She promised me. And they're going to like, ha,
Yep. No longer.
no longer.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.
So, so that's kind of the working for somebody else. And again,
And what a great
let
segue
me
now, right?
let me
What a great
state,
segue now to
yeah,
push over to the entrepreneurial side, right? I mean,
but let me make one other
perfect.
comment.
Yeah.
I just beat up companies pretty bad. But let me make it very clear, there are many very good companies out there. There's not a blanket statement that everybody's bad because they're not by a
Yeah.
long shot.
Yeah. I
But
agree.
but the bottom, I just want to make sure it's here people to hear this
Yeah.
because do as much as you can to protect yourself. That's really what I'm saying to you. What's going to happen
Yeah.
is going to happen, but minimize that potential. Now, having said that, I'm going to punt back to what you said. Let's segue. Love it. Love it. Thank you, Jack. Okay.
Yes,
Charles.
sir.
Um, Charles, I'm sorry. I'm getting so caught up in this. Okay. So, so if you go to work as an entrepreneur, you get to set the salaries of yourself and other people. You get to decide what benefits you and the staff get. You get to decide bonuses, where people work, on site, off site, from their car, their beach, wherever they're working. You get to decide the hours. You get it all. But make no mistake, with that freedom comes a lot of responsibility and a lot of accountability. And some of the things to consider going into a entrepreneur role. What are you passionate about? Don't tell me what George wants. Don't tell me what Mary wants. What do you want? Because if you don't have that passion, you will not put your all into it. And any potential customers will see through you like this.
And you know what I say a lot? I tell a lot of people, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
100% agree.
It's simple.
100%. It
Yeah.
shows in your attitude, your
Yep.
work ethic. And understand also, if you are fortunate and work your way into having a staff, a team, whatever we want to call that, they will,
Entourage.
I like that word.
My entourage.
Although, okay, we can go that different way with that. So let's kind of bring it back here. Okay. Um, although I do like that though. But the team follows the leader.
Yeah.
So if it's your business and you don't really care, chances are they won't either.
And it shows
Oh, and it shows big time.
big time.
So for reasons I can't get into, I'm going to see a doctor for something and I will be better. So don't worry. But I was talking to the person in charge of the facility and he said, I'm exhausted. I'm working 5 12-hour days plus most of the time half to a full Saturday. He goes, I'm exhausted. So I looked at him and I said, why? And his comment was, the staff looks at me. If I don't, now he's saying this, if
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't work the hours, if I don't do the effort, I don't, neither will they. And it's true.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
true. Now, if you structure it right and you have the ability to do that, you have maybe one, two, three people directly under you who do a piece each so you don't have to work and they rotate and split the hours in a week. So nobody works more than 40, 45, 50. You
Right.
shouldn't be there 80, 90 hours a week. You shouldn't be.
And I'm sure you've read the book by Michael Gerber, The E Myth. It's a
Mm,
very powerful book.
mm.
And
Yeah,
he talks about in there, it's one of the biggest things that I try to hold myself to is, you work on it, not in it. And
correct.
that's where you have to get yourself to. And it's tough. It can be tough
Correct.
to get there,
Absolutely.
you know?
So working on the business is great because that's the sales, that's the marketing, that's getting out, generating money to come in. But if you're a solopreneur, which means it's only you have to divide your day into sales, marketing, operations, payroll, um, you name it. You got to
You
do it
are
all.
it. You are
And
it.
that's a very tough thing to do. Trust me, I've tried. It does not work well.
It does not work.
At least for me, it didn't work well. I don't know. Other people are different, but okay. Um, the other thing, if you're going to, well, there's a couple of things, but if you're going in to be an entrepreneur, most of the time when you get started, money is tight. You don't have as much as you need or would like. And that's just reality. So what we try to do, at least what I try to do is everything myself. But again, you're back into there's only so many hours in a day and it takes a lot. At least me. It took a lot for me to sit there and say, Charles, I need help with something. Can you help me? It's an ego issue. It
Yeah.
really is. It's an ego issue. But the person who can sweep that aside and say, I'm good at X. Charles, can you help me with Y? Mary, can you help me with Z? George, can you help me with A, B, and C? Surround yourself with a group of people that you absolutely know, like, trust, and are experienced. I can know, like, and trust you, but you may have no clue. That doesn't really help me too much, you know? But if you
That is so
surround
true.
yourself and those people will help you if you have that relationship and you're honest with them. Some will just say, great, I'll help you 3 months, 6 months, and then you're off. Others will say, you know what? I have the skill set you need. Pay me when you have money. I'm willing to defer because I know you don't have the cash now. I'll help you now. Pay me later. So every situation is different, but the key is ask for help. Nobody knows everything, and nobody has all the time in the world. Because as far as I know,
Yeah,
there's one clock and it just keeps
it's
going.
going. Yeah. I will mention real quick too, though, that there are several success stories, and this is a dangerous game, and we've talked about this, but there have been several success stories where they have borrowed massive amounts of money on credit cards, held it up, they
Mhm.
paid them off because they were good credit cards, interest fees were very low,
Right.
and as they took off and got their business moving,
Hmm.
they were successful in paying off those credit cards because they made it. That's a dangerous game.
Correct.
You and I both know it. It's very dangerous, but it is an option, right? If
Yeah.
you can't get
Right.
this team behind you, you've got
Mhm.
options of it's a dangerous game, but it can be done.
Sure. It can
Yeah,
be, but I go back to my experience when I left corporate. I thought I knew what I was doing. But when I opened my business, I realized very quickly, and I will admit this, I was financially illiterate. 100% financially illiterate. I did not know how money worked. I didn't know what to pay for, what not to pay for, how much to pay. I didn't know who to trust. I didn't know what questions to ask.
yeah,
And when I opened my business in January of 13, after trusting many of the wrong people, my business lasted 2 years. And because I didn't know what was going on for a whole bunch of reasons, which we're going to talk about in the next session, hint, hint. Okay. Um,
love it.
let's just be nice for now and say it did not end well.
Yeah,
And I'll get into that next time. Um, but don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to try. And one of the things I want to kind of wrap up with is you should do what you want to do and what you're passionate about. But let me back up for just a second. As you were growing up, anybody, as you're growing up, most people don't know what they want to do.
that's true.
They
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
So if you went to college, and not everybody does, and again, that's okay. But if you went, part of my view says college is 4 years because you need to figure out what you want to do. And so I took the 6 year plan. Yes, it took me 6 years to get my 4 year degree. And when I graduated, I hated my major,
yeah.
but I was told very clearly, you will not become a lifetime student. So I had no choice. I had to get my degree.
We have to figure it out at that point, right?
Yeah,
What?
but
Got to
but
do
it's
this.
this, yeah, yes.
Yeah,
But it's the same thing with the business.
yeah.
If you're not sure what you want to do, my suggestion is if you can do this in high school or when you're in college, and I understand money is an issue because we have to eat and whatever, try if you can find internships, even unpaid. And I know it's not the greatest, but that may give you the entrance in somewhere.
Right.
Try to spend in a 2 month summer, try to spend a month in each of two different places. And each summer, two more, two more, two more. The idea behind my craziness is hopefully by the end of 2, 3, 4 summers, you will find that thing that just like, that's it. I'm in. I want to do that for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I like to tell people too, write down a list of things that you love to do. What fuels you? Where does your passion come in? You love to do this, whether it be playing video games or
Mhm.
running the street, talking about anything, whatever that
Mhm.
thing is.
Yep. Yep.
And write that stuff down. And when you're passionate about it, get that list down to like two or three things and find out
Yep.
what you could
Yep.
do as a viable
Yep.
business.
Yep.
It's good advice.
And the other thing I'm going to say based on that, when you do narrow that down, there is a whole world out there called fine print. So get an attorney. And I don't care who you use. I don't know. I mean, I know plenty, but this is not for me to recommend. Find one that you trust. Make sure you do the Google reviews, look the whole thing, make sure they're honest and legit and experienced. But before you sign anything, make sure you have somebody to review. And you know the legalese in little tiny print. Make sure you know what that says. Because
Yeah.
once you sign the piece of paper, and that was the issue with me when I opened my business, my attorney didn't exactly do what they were supposed to do, and I didn't know.
You were just so innocent going into it.
I go back to the term. I was financially illiterate.
Yeah.
So take the advice, look around, don't jump, see what's there, get an attorney, do it the right way. Because again, what you said earlier, this is your life. Work at something you like, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
So
Would
take
you
the
love it?
steps to get there. I love it.
Yep. You got it.
So my roundup here is in the next time that we chat, which will be next Friday at 4, because it's 4 o'clock somewhere.
Friday at 4.
We're gonna talk about types of opportunities, things to look for, things to make sure you avoid or have the attorney. The
Yeah.
goal behind everything that we are telling you and talking about week after week is to help you become better. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
We
We want to be
want you,
information providers, just to help people out.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Absolutely.
There's not enough people that do what we're doing here. And the experience that both of us have in various industries. I mean, we didn't run the same path. We didn't know each other up until recently. But what we have in common is the experiences and the pain that we went through by making the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
And
Takes a
that's
while.
why we're here doing that. So you don't make those decisions, those bad decisions.
Yes, sir. Takes a while, man. But it's good to lean on people and get that knowledge, as a coach, a mentor, or whatever, to help you get in the direction of what, you're looking to do and accomplish so you don't
Right.
make the same mistakes we made for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, even a year into it, to help them fast track a little bit faster.
Time is the only thing we can never get back.
Spend it wisely.
So, to the point, if we can help you shorten that curve and potentially not make the mistakes, that's a win every which way you can go. That's why
Yes, it
we're here.
is.
That's why
Yes,
we're
it
here.
is.
We want to help you.
Yep. Good stuff, Steve.
All right. I'm
Love
good.
it. All right. So we got our plan for next week. We know what we're going to
Yep.
do. We're
Hmm.
going to follow up on it. Thanks for another great Friday at 4.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk soon.
Perfect. Thanks. Have a
All right,
great
bye.
weekend, everyone.
See you, man. Have a good
Take
good
care. You
weekend.
too. Bye.